Good afternoon, everyone. And first and foremost, thank you very much for taking out time from what I'm sure must be very busy schedules for each and every one of you. It's a great participation. Lovely to see a full hall and people right till the end. So firstly, thank you very much. Thank you for all the people who are attending, the media, the panelists, the MMA board members, and of course our teams as well. Thank you for joining us today. I'm sure you will find both the report as well as the contents of the afternoon very insightful and very useful. And as we move ahead, I thought that the first and foremost what I need to do, apart from thanking all of you, I also need to do some more thank yous, which I want to do right in the beginning. So I'd like to thank MMA. Of course, I'm a board member there, and we've been very excited to launch this report in partnership with MMA as well as Google, who has been the knowledge partner, without whose support, I don't think this report could have materialized so well. So thank you very much. I'd also like to thank all our sponsors, the Hindu, the HT, as well as Shopify. Thank you, and we really appreciate your support. And with that, I thought in my opening remarks, I should possibly cover what is the context of this report and why and how we went around preparing for this report before we unveil the report. So as you know that e-commerce in India is experiencing what we call as turbo growth, a lot of growth, it is growing exponentially. And even as while it started on a small base possibly some time back, so maybe not garnering too much attention, but as we speak today, it's already crossed 100 billion USD in terms of market size, as well as we have today as we speak 250 million online shoppers, which incidentally is a great number and already putting us at number 2 position globally with the number of shoppers that we have. I remember talking at an event like this some few, like maybe 15, 18 months back. And I remember at that point in time, I was talking about India being the 3rd largest. That such is the growth rate that it's already become the 2nd largest. And of course, as you can see on the charts, there's a huge potential and exponential growth expected as we move into the next few years. And the forecast, the projections for 2030 clearly it's quadrupling in size, and the number of shoppers are more than doubling by 2030. And that's not surprising because there is a substantial headroom for growth. So I talked about US and China. We are only second to China now. And if you look at these markets, China ahead of us and US we have just crossed. If you look at these markets, their e-commerce size is already 25%, 24% for US, and for China it's 35%. India comparatively is still at a very low figure. It's a single digit number. So clearly we can see that there is a whole lot of space for us to grow. And definitely the projections that I covered in the earlier page, we believe that they are very well sort of placed. The 4 factors that are going to really drive this e-commerce boom in India, of course, is the digital public infrastructure, which I'll argue is one of the best in the world, possibly the best in the world. Rapidly improving digital literacy, the increasing household incomes, and the vibrant startup ecosystem. These are the ones really which are fueling the commerce growth. And I will briefly touch upon each one of them just to set a little granular context. So if you look at the digital public infrastructure, it is one of the best, as I said, globally. We know that the India stack that we are so proud of has enabled some really world-class success stories for a market like India, which has the kind of scale that we have, the kind of complexity that we need to deal with. It has been like, a stellar support in ensuring the digitalization of the public services. So whether you look at the unique identification system, the success of Aadhaar, whether you look at the unified payment interface, which is the UPI, and how it has really revolutionized the payment system in India, and many others which are on that, the DigiLocker, the Sehmati, and we saw what COVID did during the time of the pandemic. So it's a world-class infrastructure which is fueling the whole e-commerce participation. So that is there. And then of course there is a very quickly improving digital literacy and the digital adoption by the consumers. Now we have been talking for some time, all of you will know, that we kept talking for the longest about the access to cheap smartphones, cheap mobile phones, and then of course the data unlocked with the launch of Geo at scale and to everybody. But given the public infrastructure that we just spoke of, the India stack that we spoke of, the way the payment has been revolutionized, that is one of the single largest factors which is now driving the digital literacy and the digital adoption. And the one figure that I'd like you to take note over here is the 89.5 billion figure. That's a whole lot of transactions. So this is a number of real-time transactions which happened in India in 2022. It's doubled from the year before, more than doubled from the year before. And this single number is 46% of the global transactions that happen. So 46% of those transactions are happening in India. So that's really something. So that should give us a lot of confidence that the e-commerce space is going to boom. And then, of course, there is no surprise that we have a lot of digital payments, 350 million digital payments, more than 220 million digital shoppers. We talked about that. And of course, participating in a lot of purchases across multiple categories. So this is the other factor which is going to be really contributing to the growth, explosive growth of e-commerce. The third part, we covered the e-commerce and we covered the e-shopper, all of that, but there is no shop. If you don't have the income, then there is no commerce and there's no shopper. We've covered the e part, right? So if you look at, like, as some people would argue that this is India's decade, we've heard a lot about it, read a lot about it. In fact, some of the business leaders now in recent times are arguing that this is India's century, right? And what it means essentially is that the average household income in this decade is projected to grow from USD 2,500 and crossing to USD 5,500 by 2030. What it essentially means, why is that number really important? What it means is that this is the point in time where a lot of nations have crossed this benchmark. And that is the point in time there is a lot of unlock of disposable incomes in the market. And that just shows you the potential that will be fueled in terms of the affordability by the consumers. So we have the digital infrastructure, we have digital adoption, and then we have a whole set of population which will very soon is having and very soon will have even more disposable incomes. So that's going to unlock it further. And then, of course, it's also a vibrant startup ecosystem space because the entrepreneurs and the funding companies, they have realized the potential in this space. So obviously, there is a lot of action. There's a lot of excitement in this whole area. There are more than 750 funded startups as we speak today. Most importantly, there's a lot of money, we read about it in the papers every day. There's a lot of funding which is going into this area. Just between 2014 to 2022, $31 billion have been invested in this space, which is a lot of money. And about the amount of funding which was coming in this space, I think that 1 year it crossed 10 billion in just a year. And then, of course, there has been some conversation about the funding winter and the drying up of funding. That being said, even in 22, it was 4 billion US dollars, which is a lot of, which is a very healthy, funding. So all of these factors clearly are going to ensure that there will be acceleration in the overall e-commerce space. That being said, as we all know, and the purpose we are here and hence why we're doing the report, is that within the overall commerce segment, D2C is one of the key growth drivers, which is direct to consumer, the ability for marketers, for companies, for manufacturers to sell directly to the end consumer. So this is the part within the entire commerce ecosystem which is growing the fastest. And some of the enablers for D2C growth, which we are seeing in the last few years and really growing even more exponentially within the commerce space, it's growing exponentially. One, of course, there's innovation driven by technology, and I'll just come to it in a bit, and the increasing number of players in this space and the amount of investment that it is really sort of garnering and the interest that it is garnering. If we look at the innovation driven by the technology, what essentially we are saying is that the technology is enabling a lot more frictionless commerce in the online space, be it personalized product recommendations, be it the chat bots, be it the ability to talk vernacularly, be it, giving the right sort of recommendations. So all of these are fueling the space, but more importantly, for the D2C players, it is reducing the entry barriers. So hence we see a lot many more brands getting into this area, and technology we know is like, moving very fast, and every day there are newer things that are possible. And so hence we see that that matches up in the D2C space, where there's suddenly a lot of entry of a lot of players, essentially because technology is enabling easier sort of entry into the D2C space. And so no surprise, we are seeing increasing number of players. A lot of these brands are already household names on the left side, which are the D2C first brands like Mamaearth, Pepperfry, Licious, Lenskart. A lot of brands have come in this space, right? And garnering a lot of attention. And of course, not to be left behind, our traditional brands are also moving into D2C. Increasingly, many companies, many marketers are having a D2C strategy. Some of you are here. And the reason for that is not only to cover their flanks, but also many other benefits that D2C really offers. So we are going to see more excitement in this space as we go along. And again, it is no surprise that it has garnered a lot of investment. So within the e-commerce space, all the investment which is happening, you can see the growth rate. The CAGR for D2C is the highest and stands at 49% if we look at the figures for the last 3 years. That's the kind of interest that it is garnering within the commerce space. And the overall funding that has happened in 2023 alone, it has garnered more than 50% of the deal value. The entire money which has come into commerce, more than 50% has got into D2C, and it's also 70% of the deal counts which have happened. So you can see, obviously, there's a lot of investor attention, and so it is scheduled to grow. That being said, so obviously we can see it's a very exciting space. There are a lot of players, a lot of people, and we expect that this is only going to continue to grow. The thing is that it is a more comparatively a newer space and less explored space. So there are more questions than answers. And in fact, in the last few years, the number of queries and the variety of queries and the kind of queries that we are getting from our clients, our partners, and market in general has really sort of increased. And with each passing, as the complexity and the competition in the space increases, obviously there are many queries, and that was the context of coming out with this report in partnership with MMA and Google. So in the report, what we have done is that we have done an extensive survey across 500 odd practitioners in the D2C space, as well as other commerce practitioners. And then to give it more flavor and uncover deeper insights, we have also done in-depth interviews with some of these practitioners. And what we have on the back of both the quantity and the quality part, we've also applied a little experience and knowledge that we have on the back of handling a lot of clients in their commerce mandates. We have taken those learnings as well. And a lot of D2C clients work with us on the other aspects, say creative or media or any other services. So we've obviously applied all of that knowledge and experience as well in this report. What the report is going to be unlocking is what are the value generators for the D2C business? What are the things that are really generating value over there? Decoding the path to profitability. Now you will see in the report, one of the things which is going to come out is a large number of players are still struggling to be profitable in this space. So the report is going to decode what is your path to profitability, and of course learnings from the successful brands, the brands which have been able to decode this and have been doing a great job and sort of being successful in this space. So we've taken insights from that, and definitely that is covered in the report as well. So I'm pretty sure you will have a very exciting afternoon, interesting panel discussions, and of course we'll have the unveiling of the report. Thank you very much again. Please enjoy your afternoon and evening over here. Thank you.